Hello, welcome back. This is going to be the week 2, going over all the week 2 games for our Soggy Fries Draft League. And I'm also going to be redoing my power rankings a little bit. Now, I know it's been a while since the last video. We're all just taking a little bit of time to do everything, but I promise the weeks are coming out and that we're still doing it and everything like that, and we're eventually going to get it done. Alright, so this first game is going to be Conrad versus Chase with the King Gambits versus the Hydreigons. Chase is bringing, looks like Clodsire for either or potentially like the Rotom, and for the Glamora it looks like he's got a Grimmsnarl, so we might be seeing some screens or something like that. Conrad doesn't have a Dark type, so Prankster is gonna be able to just do whatever he wants. Also, it doesn't have a Ghost type, so Iron Hands is gonna be decent, and Iron Valiant. He's bringing this triple fighting comp, which Conrad doesn't really have a whole lot for. Or actually, he does have a Ghost type. He has it in Skeleturge, but I think the Iron Hand still takes that, and Quackable obviously takes that. So I don't know. I guess we're gonna really see what happens. I think Conrad's got got Mousehold, which doesn't really have a lot of answers besides like Rocky Helmet. Glamora to set up those Toxic Spikes and potentially Rocks, but Chase has Magic Bounce and Clodsire, so I'm kind of going to see how that goes. I will say that it's been a second since I've seen these games, so I'm going into this kind of fresh as you guys are. So guess we're going to start this off and see what happens. Actually, we're going to go through this a little slower. So Chase starts off immediately with the Hatterene Psychic, so that way he doesn't get hit with the with the Flash Cannon super effectively, as he goes for the Mystical Fire to try to counteract the Klefki. Let's set this to normal. And he goes for a Giga Drain. I think he was predicting the Rotom to come in. Switches out into Clodsire on the Skeleturge. Skeleturge Torch Song comes up. This Clodsire, he doesn't check to see if the Clodsire is unaware. He goes just right out, not trying to catch that Toxic. He goes into Hawlucha, and he gets that Sword Stance boost as Chase sets up a Spike. So it looks like he's not unaware because he swapped out on that. He goes for the taunt, trying to stop the Sword Stance, but I think that he's only going to Sword Stance up the once. Maybe he has something to take it, but only if it's maybe only if it has one Sword Stance. Goes for this Quackable, and he gets one shot, so he doesn't have speed, so that's questionable. Maybe it was Scarf and thought he'd outspeed or something, but the Unburden. Yeah, so the Rocky Helmet takes that out, and Chase goes for the Recover, keeping his Clodsire healthy. That's pretty decent. Goes for the Hydro Pump. So I guess he is unaware. So I don't know why he would have swapped out before. Because he's not Water Absorbed for the Rotom Wash, so that's a little questionable. But Rotom Wash goes to the Hydro Pump. Iron Hands comes out. The Hawlucha's down, which is pretty decent. He goes for the Thunder Punch. Doesn't hit the fighting move. Good play. This attack boost is going to be pretty decent. I don't know why he went for the Iron Head there. Maybe he was thinking the Glamora would come out and get the spikes up. He goes for the Hydro Punch, and Thunder Punch just bodies it. But still, that's damage. And yeah, the Dudleys come out and... Yep. So Population Bomb. Iron Valiant comes out, and that's faster. And he has a special attack boost with the Aura Sphere. Glamora takes that, I guess. I didn't think that Glamora had that much stuff. He goes for the Mortal Spin. He's poisoned and everything is gone. Goes for a Spiky Shield. Spiky Shield works because he Shadow Sneaks. And he goes for the Aura Sphere, realizing. I don't know, does this Iron Valiant sweep? Yeah, looks like Iron Valiant sweeps. And Chase pulls away with the 2-0. It looked like Conrad had the lead for a good solid second, but Iron Valiant Chase's Ubermon just comes out and just kind of bodies everything. I think maybe keeping the Klefki or the Skeleturge alive a little bit longer might have helped with that. Or maybe saving the Hawlucha for late, because on everything, it doesn't look like Chase had anything for Hawlucha. So maybe if the Clodsire had just been pressured out by the Rotom a little bit more, the game would have been a little bit better. But Chase pulls away, so pretty decent week for him after losing the last week. And Conrad, kind of the opposite, winning the last week pretty hard, but now he lost this week, so I guess we're going to see how that comes up for both of them. Next up is Ali versus Mass. Mass trying to pull out a win this week after his loss last week. Pretty hard to Scizor. Ali trying to pull back after her loss. So two different people scraping for their first win. And both with really, really scary teams. But I see this Chi-Yu and I'm so afraid for Mass. I'm really going to see what that Pex does, but I don't know. So I'm just going to load in. I'm not going to overanalyze or hit that. Torkoal comes out. Toxpex comes out. So Drought, Spikes. Torkoal goes for the Yawn on the Toxpex, probably predicting a switch. Sets up the Rocks because he knows he can stay. I don't think the Spikes are really too much of an issue. It looks like Ali's running offense. So Lycanroc goes for the Rocks. Shocks goes for that. Then goes for the Taunt in return. I don't know what the taunt was for, because I don't think Sandy Shocks does much besides attack and, like, rocks, but the rocks are already up. I think the Endeavor instead of taunt might have been better for you there. Goes into Roaring Moon, gets intimidated on the Earthquake. Now he probably has to switch out because he doesn't want, so that Roaring Moon's just taking rocks. I think the main issue that Mass is having right now, he doesn't have anything to get rid of these rocks, so these rocks are kind of up to stay for permanent. Ali switches in this Dragonite, just Dragon Dances, Toxpex, Ice Spinner, Multi-Skill keeps Dragonite alive, but Baneful bunkers, so that means that there's no haze, so Dragonite just kind of normal type, extreme speed is looking really dangerous right now. A third Dragon Dance, and Pex just really can't do anything to a normal type Dragonite. So, yep, it looks like it's just, yeah, I was going to say, I hate to skip through a battle, but I don't really know if there's anything that you can do against +3 extreme speed. Yep. And yeah, look, I'm here. Yep, Ali's team's so scary. Dragonite, no haze though. Yep. Looks like when I first saw the battle, I had the same thought. Yeah, Ali pulls away with the 6-0. Conrad with the 5-0 last week. If there's something I have to say to Mass, it's you have to run Haze Pex. You can't just run coverage moves. Because coverage moves, when Terramons exist, it's just like, you just Terra, and then your coverage is gone. And what do you do? And Ali pulled out the Terra Normal Dragonite this week, the perfect Terra Normal. And last week, pulled out the Garganackle Water Terra. Not having anything for that either. I think Ali has a really, really, really good understanding of Gen 9 meta that not a lot of other people get yet. And I'm really excited to see if we see a lot more 6-0s out of Ali, because that kind of looks dominant. And Ali did, some of Ali's Mon didn't even touch the field, so... Ali won without the Chi-Yu, proving that it didn't need the Chi-Yu to win, too, so... I don't know, I guess we're going to see what happens with that going on here forward. And then, now for the last game of this week, it's going to be me versus Eros. I do remember how this game goes a little bit. I don't want to spoil it, so I'm just going to let you guys know. My sets for this, I believe I'm running... Yeah, I'm running... Oh, yeah, so I know for a fact I'm running Punching Glove Palmot, because I really wanted to... because Eros' thing was that he was going to run Punching Glove Palafin so often because it was just, like, the best thing in the world. So I decided to fuck with him and run the Punching Glove Palmot with Iron Fist. They get back at him. Also because he was wanting Palmot, so it's just his envy. Veluza, I had Choice Scarf Veluza. I was really wanting to just send it in against Palafin and just Final Gambit immediately. It sounded fucking hilarious. And then I also have, I think it's this SD Mimikyu, and I kind of forget what the rest of my sets are, I believe, but we're going to go into this and see. I sent in the Annihilate first. I really wanted to send in Veluza, but I really didn't feel like the Palafin was going to get sent out first, because I do a little bit of conditioning with my people, and I definitely did tell Eros something about, oh man, I always get the free lead against you, because Eros and Conrad both have this issue where they always get free leads. And because Eros will always lead with the Pokemon he thinks is the strongest. So he always leads with Palafin, or he'll lead up with his setup, whenever he thinks he needs to set up first or get going first. So he always leads his Palafin. And I told him this, and I told Conrad the same thing. I said, you always lead with your Stealth Rocker Pokemon. Now, Conrad never leads with the Stealth Rocker Pokemon, and Eros never leads with his Palafin. And it's easy, and so it's always a matter of switching up. You always got to switch up your lead, so I definitely do get a good lead here in my Ugly Barnacle. Not going to Veluza, knowing that he's not going to go that Palafin. I get my rocks up, which is really, really good into his team, and he starts hazard stacking me. Now, I don't have a lot to do with hazards, and this is actually a really good lead on his part to hazard stack me, because like I said, Eros will always lead the thing that he thinks he needs to set up on. So instead of going Palafin, he let his Pincurchin to set up on, or to set up the things he needs to set up on. So instead, I realized, okay, well, the best thing for me is if he's going to hazard stack me, I just need to stay in. So I'm just going to sit here and hit and hit and hit and hit. I'm just going to keep clicking moves. And it's just going to do work. You know, because, like, I mean, at the end of the day, the more I get hit, the more I have Rage Fist, and I Drain Punch and Drain Punch and Drain Punch so I can get my HP back. He's going to sit here and spam Recover. And eventually I get parried from the discharge. But because of that, I'm getting hit and stacking my Rage Fist. So now I one-shot him. And I'm parried. He sends in his Palafin here. I just stay in. I'm like, man, I'm just going to click the button. Because he's either going to Wave Crash or he's going to hard switch. So he hard switches, and I just click the button and do some more damage. I think Eros didn't mean to go into the thing there. He meant to go into this, but he switches into this and takes too much damage, and he can't Shed Tail to make the HP, and I just kill it. So he just sacks the Earthworm. So now I'm up 2 Pokemon with this Ugly Barnacle. I keep it in, or no, I don't keep it in. I switch out, finally saying, all right, I'm gonna keep it just because I want to keep that Rage Fist, because it's good to kind of it's good to bring it in on like a sack or something. So I switch in, and I also didn't want to get Sucker Punch and eat Air Slashes, and I go for the Trick Room. And I'm like, alright, I'm going to bring the Trick Room, I'm going to bring the Trick House, you know how it goes. And I immediately go into my Mimikyu. It's Lumberries eaten, so that way I don't have to deal with being poisoned behind my thing. I Drain Punch him, predicting him to not go for the Sucker. And I think even if he does, I'm disguised anyway, so I'm chilling. And then I just click moves. Because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I always just, like, at the end of the day, when I have these spikes down and everything like that, I'm not trying to switch. And he is, like, running out of Pokemon. And the more I click moves, the more he just, like, tries to switch around and do different things. So I just decided to click my Play Rough. And then I see he's switching out, so then I decided to go into this Veluza right here on the off chance he doesn't click a move. Because if he clicks a move, so if he clicks Bulk Up again, Veluza comes in, and then he gets the final Gambit off, and then that's enough HP to come in with something else. And if he does click a move, then he doesn't set up all the way, and that allows for this to come out. And this definitely takes one. Dark Pulse kills for sure, because I'm pretty sure I'm Choice Specs here. If I'm right. Yeah, I am Choice Specs, and that does a butt ton, and he's Life Orb, so there's no way that he's going to be able to live all that. And I believe I just go into, I go into Palmot just because I want to show him my Punching Glove Mach Punch set. I Terrestrialize Z just to get the Fighting type off, just for the everything. He Ice Shard, so I don't even get my Mach Punch. And that's the game, and I pull it away 3-0. Annihilate is putting in work. And it looks like this Chien-Pao that Eros has. I think the issue is that, is one, like, it's like not getting preserved enough, Life Orb plus rocks damage and things like that. I think Eros switched around a little bit too much in the early. I think just being down 2 Pokemon right at the start was really left him worse for wear. I don't know if there's a whole lot to say about this game. I think that both of us had a little bit of things that we could improve on. I mean, my Veluza didn't use a move. My Palma didn't use a move, and I only really clicked a few moves. Most of my Pokemon only had... Yeah, and then my Slowking and my Jugulis only clicked 1 move each, so I only clicked, 8 moves total that game? So... so that's going in. I decided to go through here and... I just wanted to talk about how I think the power rankings are going and everything like that. So, I guess to start, I would go ahead and say that I think that I think that I'm gonna start doing these power rankings not just based on like team strength, but also based on like the coach's strength too, because that's what it's supposed to do. And I think that if we're going to do that, the O2 definitely has to come up first. Mass is definitely has lost the first game 05, lost the second game 06. Really gonna have to show that he can deal with being set up on in order to be able to reach back to the spot that he was at before with his team, because you can have all the good building blocks there, but if you don't know how to build, just really has to, you have to bring Hayes more often. Endeavor is really good because you can take away Mons that you need to do, but if you bring the same set every week, people are going to know what's going up. You need to make sure that you have stuff to do with rocks, because rocks breaks all your sashes. Stuff to do with Terra. Mass really, really, really gets destroyed by Terra. Been destroyed by it twice. That goes. After that, I would say Eros was in 6th place, and he's only had one game so far, right? Yeah, it's week 2, so we only had one game so far because he had the bye in week 1, and did not show up as much. I think that these two aren't very interchangeable, though, because Eros at least kind of showed up to his battle a little bit, and I think Mass has had a hard time really getting locked into his battles. And Eros did show up against me. I just think I had a better team than him. I think that at the end of the day, like, we both weren't playing at, like, our peak, but I definitely just have the better draft. And I think that is going to be a consistent thing that Eros is going to have to fight up against, is these uphill battles. He's really going to have to prove that he can win those battles. And then up after that, I'll have to say is probably going to be I really want to put it. I don't want to back on my thing though, because Conrad 1 is week 1 really, 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 like, strong, right? And Chase lost his week 1 really, really strong. But so to start, these are my top 3 for sure. These 3 are the top, because 2-0, 1-0, and 1-1, but the 1-1 is these 3 teams are my top. So these 2 are definitely going to be next. Like I said, Conrad won his week 1 a lot more dominantly, but his week 1 was against Mass, who is at the bottom. And then Chase lost his week 1 against one of the top teams and then beat Conrad. But I think that Conrad's draft is better. But I don't think Chase's is that much worse. I think if it were personal bias, it would look like this. But it can't be. But I don't think it's personal bias, because I think that at the end of the day, I want to show, like, what the coaches are, like, what the coaches are doing, what the teams are doing, things like that. I think Conrad's teams have been all right. And I think that his team building is pretty decent, but I think that his usage of, like, priorities, like thinking about the priority Pokemon, he didn't think about it a lot in week 2, and I think that Chase really preserved his threats, and he really knows what's dangerous. I just think that sometimes Chase brings heat that doesn't work. I think that's the difference. I think that's it. I think Chase can show up with heat, and the heat works, and then sometimes you can show up with heat and it doesn't work. And I think that showing up and being able to beat a team like Conrad's, so Chase is, I think another thing that really makes me give the point to Chase, and the Hydreigons over the King Gambits, is that the Hydreigon's team has a lot of weaknesses. And Conrad's team is a really, really well-rounded team. And I think that it really goes to show. So in a draft league, you want a well-rounded team because you want something that can beat everything, right? And I think that when you have a lot of weaknesses, your big thing is, like, losing against all round, like losing against all rounder teams because they have, or losing against most teams because most teams are all rounder teams, and all rounder teams will destroy you because they always have that one thing that you can't deal with. And then there's those people who have hyper offense that really have that one thing you can't deal with, like Ali's team, and then it's like, blah, blah, blah. But I think that I think that Chase showing up and being able to beat a balanced team like Conrad's with a team that has weaknesses like he does, by really showing off how he can use his speedsters and how he can break through walls and stuff like that. I think that he just has to be higher up. Next up is okay, so Ali is 1-1, right? With like the most broken with the most broken Mon in the draft. And Weber's is 1-0 with a win against the 4th place contender. So, with a win against somebody who's not in the top 3. And Ali's win is against Mass, who's at the bottom. So I think I have to do this. Even though I think Ali's team is way better, I think I have to do this because Weber's hasn't lost yet. You know, you can't be, you know, if Ali's lost, like everybody down here is lost, right? These 2 people are untouched yet. You know, this is the untouched marker, so I think that it has to go there, and then I think that I have to be at the top. I mean, it's not an ego thing. I've played both my matches, and I have not lost both my matches yet. And I have a bye for week 3, so week 3 you're not going to see anything of me. In week 4 I go into Mass, so you know, the top team versus the bottom team, we're going to see how that goes, or at least the bottom team for right now. Obviously, we could see how that goes, because in week 3, if Mass, you know, pulls up, I believe Mass goes against Arrows week 3, so we're going to see what happens with that. But I don't know. I think that I feel comfortable saying that I'm the best. Also because I haven't beat Weber's yet, but I think that I think that my first 2 teams were I fought Eros, who, even though I said he had the worst draft, I think he has a uniquely decent draft against me. And also, Eros isn't a bad battler. The reason he's down here is because his draft is hard and because he's 1-1, right? Or no, he's 0-1 rather, right? The only person he's lost to is the number 1 seed. You know what I'm saying? The only person that he's lost to is me at the number 1 seed. He just hasn't shown what he can do yet, and his draft isn't good. But he as a coach he's not a 6th place coach in my opinion. So we're gonna see if he can move himself up. I don't know. I think that a lot of these can shift. I think that this right here is really volatile. And I think it's gonna show how the coaches draft is really gonna show what happens between these 2. I think this is really, really volatile because I haven't seen Weber's play. So Weber's could be better than me, or it could be like Weber's is like down here and we've only done one thing yet. But I think that Ali is really stroking her way to the top. I mean, losing a game to last hit rocks. Like, let's be real. This game right here came down to rocks damage. It came down to 1 damage of rocks. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, any amount of RNG changes the game the opposite way. So and with a 6-0 the very next game, Ali is clawing back. So, you know, we're going to see how that goes. I think that Mass has potential to bring it up, especially with the way his team is formatted. I think that he just needs to learn how to be he either needs to really, really, really kick up the offense and just start playing really, really aggressively and just beating people down, and trying to reverse and try to like set up on them, or he needs or partially because Roaring Moon you can just click Dragon Dance and then just win, right? That's generally what you're supposed to do, or you click you're choice scarfed and you just go. But I don't know. I think that, or he just needs to like get haze. If you have haze, you can't get set up on. Or like, you know, if you I don't know. I don't want to say like just like sashes because there's rocks and stuff, but you need to bring defog if you have a million flying types. You need to bring haze if you're gonna bring toxpex. You need to bring, or not, if not haze, then you need to bring something else that doesn't do it. Because toxic being on a timer is not the only thing that you can do against somebody who is setting up on you. And toxic spikes and baneful bunker don't toxic somebody directly. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot of I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting things that can happen with this. But with that being said, I'll see you guys again for week 3. I don't think I'm gonna do power rankings for week 3, but I might do it for week 4. We'll see how it goes. But with that, peace out, and I'll see you guys then.